250th of our country. And at that time, we did not have an adequate response. And since that time, there's been an ad hoc July 4 committee formed that has been literally doing a 0 to 60 in first gear. You can almost smell the rubber burning, and that is partly with staff support. It's been attended by all the major organizations, groups in town, and I'm proud to share with you it is coming together. You'll be hearing more from our Parks Director, Jeff Osmick, on it. And I think we're right on the verge of a major announcement for that July 4 evening. And again, that'll be later in the agenda here as we have our reports out. And when I report on the Intergovernmental Committee meeting with the Suquamish tribe, not at this time, but to note that we have met with the Tribal Council, we have met with tribal staff, we have discussed the July 3rd history. We are looking at a new, much smaller July 4 different tradition, and we're fully coordinating this not only with our local groups, but our closest and oldest neighbors, the Suquamish tribe, and we are moving forward in a very coordinated and welcoming fashion. I think I will conclude my remarks on that note, and again, thank Councilman Eckert for putting up with me and my shenanigans on Front Street, and I think we had a good time. Listening to him, you wouldn't believe it, but it's a true story. We're going to move on to board, commission, and outside agency reports. Again, I'm going to begin on my left with Councilman Doug Noll. Doug, any board, commission, or outside agency reports?
The only one is, I suspect you're going to elaborate on, is we did have the first commission meeting yesterday afternoon regarding housing. There's more introductions and much more to follow on that. Probably have more details here after the next meeting.
Actually, I would, if you're able to report out and brief on it, I would appreciate that. So that's, you're referring to the Blue Ribbon Commission?
Sure, I'll try to do it briefly. So we met from 3 to 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It was a collection of individuals involved in construction in the area, one of our local banks, Habitat for Humanity, and one of our employers, along with a couple other individuals. The nice thing to hear was that all of us are concerned about how do we create more housing for the people that want to live here, and how do we do it in a standpoint that people can afford and support. And so no silver bullets in the first 120 minutes, but it was a good discussion. We are going to be meeting twice a month for the next couple months as we try to plan out our future. There is a charter that has been referenced that we have to sign in blood. Is that true, Rob?
Just making a very solid, true commitment. That's all we're asking for. It can be ink.
Blood came up like 5 times yesterday. So, anyways, thank you, Mayor, for taking the initiative and getting this robust group together.
Thank you, Doug. Michael, any board, commission, or outside agency reports, possibly North Kitsap School District?
Nothing yet on the school district. Deborah and I have started conversations, but I think those will continue for a little bit. And nothing involving blood, thankfully. I would like to repeat my comments, though, from last meeting, and I'm going to try to do this in a way that doesn't steal your thunder or Britt's or Rick's. We were all at the MOU meeting with the tribe last week, so I will let you all speak to most of the substance of the meeting, but I just wanted to share again what I shared last week, which is a couple things. The first was to say my appreciation to the city, to my colleagues, and especially to the mayor for the camaraderie and goodwill that I experienced in that meeting. I come from a community where I grew up with just my neighbors being poor white kids like me and the local Karuk tribe. And we were all each other had, and oftentimes there were some real tensions and complexities to that relationship. So I'm really grateful to live in a community where our city government has taken building trust there with such seriousness. So I really enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot, and I look forward to future meetings. The second thing I wanted to mention, and again, this will be something for Rick to properly discuss here momentarily, but Rick brought up a flag proposal with the tribe, and that I think is going to initiate or require us as a council to maybe revisit our flag policy overall and discuss a couple things, in particular the potential impact of these flags going up and down is having on our public works staff, their time, their resources, their compensation. I'm under the impression that potentially our city administrator has an opinion on this subject. I probably have a slightly different opinion, but I want him to know, and I want the rest of you to know, that I very much share his concern about what we're asking of staff. So I hope when staff and Rick bring the flag proposal to us that we can also have a conversation about maybe revisiting our flag resolution and adding in considerations about impacts on staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Councilman Britt Livedall, outside board, commission, or agency reports.
I really don't have anything unique, but I do just want to tack on to Michael's comments about the MOU committee with Suquamish, and to just say that I'm really glad that that was your first introduction, and that you felt the camaraderie. It's not something that we take for granted here. It has not always been an easy relationship. We've had some really hard, really emotional conversations over the years with our tribal neighbors, and so, I mean, I think I've been on this committee for almost the 6 years that I've been on council, and we've come a very long way, and that means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Mayor and everybody else. But yeah, it's progress. It's not where it started, though. And I want to congratulate Rick for the conversations that you continually had, and your respect for the tribe through that process as they came to their decisions around flying a banner flag, you know, with their flag here in Poulsbo. So I think that's a big deal. So thank you.
Councilman Tabor, any outside agency, board, or commission reports?
None for me.
And Councilman Eckert, and I do want to thank and give a shout out, as is apparent, Councilman Eckert, Councilwoman Livedall, Councilman Fitzpatrick are members of what's called by the Suquamish tribe, the MOU committee. It's an acronym, and it stands for Memorandum of Understanding. And to them, that day that was signed in July 2005 is a hallmark day. I remember then Mayor Donna Jean Bruce pronounced it a red letter day. And to this day, they refer to their relationship with us as the MOU committee. And in fact, on our books, it's called intergovernmental. We're a municipal corporation, and we have a relationship with a domestic sovereign nation, which is technically a higher level of government in the hierarchy than us, and we're very respectful of that. So on that note, turning to one of my colleagues, Councilman Rick Eckert, board, agency, and commission report.
Yes, so I'll start with what's been referenced already. When I came on the council, one of the first things I kind of floated was, so Britt had brought the pride flags, the idea of government speech, I think a year before that, maybe two, I think it was a year. And I had said that because she did receive pushback that first year pretty strongly in some areas. And my approach to that was, it's a yes and, it's a starting point. And we need, we need to look to other communities. We can look at other neighbors. And to me, our strongest and most important neighbor relationship is the Suquamish tribe. So I had suggested that we look to do similar banners on Front Street. We can't do their flag at City Hall just because we don't have the appropriate hardware. We can't fly their flag on our pole because they're two nations and we can't put one underneath the other. So I brought that to Chairman Forsman years ago, the idea that we do it, but I had floated it to him as something I wanted to propose, but I wouldn't do it without their consent. I wouldn't speak for them, and I wouldn't propose it without them saying yes first. It's taken a couple years for them to get to where they wanted us to do it, but this time around they said yes. And what we were looking at doing was October. So the idea, so Rob is working up logistics, and then we'll bring a resolution for the month of October to recognize our Suquamish neighbors along in the same manner along the downtown. Yeah, it's like Britt said, it's not always been this way. I started this relationship with Suquamish back on the school board 8 years ago now, a little more. And our first joint meeting with Suquamish between the North Kitsap School Board and their tribal council had a lot of tears. It was a really emotional meeting, and I remember very vividly when the two superintendents just both kind of looked at each other, took their agendas and threw them over their shoulders, because the two councils just basically said, yeah, we're doing our own thing tonight, and threw out their plan. And we just had a heart-to-heart for a couple hours. And that relationship carried to the city. I consider it our most important one. I gave my resignation to the school board, moving over to council at a Suquamish meeting with the school board for a reason. So we did talk about a lot of other things at that meeting. It's always productive. It's from the big high level issues all the way down to the very, very mundane and municipal. We did highlight another of our favorite topic, parking issues that came up with the tribe, and we're working on that. We did talk about 4th of July. We did talk, Gary, you in the past have talked about the city maybe moving to like a multicultural event. We've talked about with them and maybe that being a joint Poulsbo Suquamish event. We're still working on that. We talked about a whole lot of things, but in the end, it's about the relationship probably more than the individual items, and we'll be talking to them again soon.
Appreciate the thorough reporting. Thank you, Rick. Councilwoman Crowe, any board, commission, or outside agency reports? Thank you. And lastly, Councilman McVeigh.
No reports, thank you.
No reports. So allow me to expand on what the council has touched on, some lesser ones, and then I'll move to, as my council colleagues have described it, our closest relationship. I represent the Association of Washington Cities on the Puget Sound Partnership Board. That has to do with the environmental quality of the waterways that touch the Salish Sea. So that includes the entirety of the Puget Sound, all the way up to the Strait of Georgia at the United States border. And I also represent the Association of Washington Cities on the State Public Works Board. The reason I remark on both of them together is not to go through those agendas. I will not bore you with that. There was a 2-day retreat of the Public Works Board in Port Townsend, which I attended Thursday and Friday, making it back in time to support Heather and her shield maiden role, just in time. The reason I remark on it, we often talk about the 23rd Legislative District, and we give shout outs to our 2 representatives and senator. Occasionally the 35th and 26th districts, like the dinner we shared in Olympia. Today I just want to give a shout out to longtime Representative Steve Theringer of the 24th. He entered the legislature when our County Commissioner Christine Rolfes, as a fresh woman, entered the legislature as a state representative. I'm talking 18 years ago. And he has also been one of the 4 corners of the legislature. He represents the House on the capital budget, and that touches us with infrastructure, and I won't go into that. What I want to say is we honored him. He was able to come from his home in Clallam County, the relatively short distance to Port Townsend. He is suffering a severe illness. People hadn't seen him in a while. I only wish Commissioner Christine Rolfes could have joined us. Her schedule precluded it. And we gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of the state of Washington as an economic development infrastructure champion. And he received that plaque, and it was a real honor to have him there. He will officially retire in December, and we told him we know he will bring the same strength and fortitude that he met state challenges with to the challenge of his own health. But it was a real honor. And again, here on the peninsulas, Kitsap and Olympic, we owe a debt of gratitude to the 24th District Representative Steve Theringer, and that was done. The Blue Ribbon Commission, I appreciate Councilman Noll remarking on it. I'm not going to go into detail except to say that Councilman Noll is the representative of the City Council. He was selected because of his extensive experience in building and finance, never mind the Navy, specific to the Central Kitsap School District as Chief Operating Officer, where for many years he managed both the bond and levy money. That, in example, saw the new Central Kitsap High School and Central Kitsap Auditorium built, and that is a unique skill set of both public and private insight. We have 14 members on the board. Rob and I will distribute that list of names fully to the council tomorrow. It includes Representative Greg Nance, so that there is a touchstone with Olympia. We have a tribal representative, Councilwoman Irene Carper, Secretary of the Tribal Council, but in this role, she is the Chief Operating Officer for Port Madison Enterprises. She is charged on that board with housing. They have one of the largest private workforces in the county, not including the Navy, both military and civilian. I think some close to 1,200 employees now with Port Madison Enterprises. They too are hurting for workforce housing. And this commission is all about that, workforce housing and trying to create ownership opportunities. And so the rest of the names, it's a long list, will be distributed. I think I'll end on the note of the Intergovernmental Committee and report out on it. The Memorandum of Understanding, MOU Committee, as the tribe refers to it. It was our largest meeting since inception of the group, all the way back to 2005. It had full attendance from most of the council and most of the staff of the Suquamish tribe, and it was met with, of course, our council members, myself. I'll just read through the names so you understand the breadth and sweep. Chairman Leonard Forsman, Vice Chair Josh Bagley, Andrew George, one of the council members, Azure Boré, Councilwoman, Catherine Edwards, Suquamish Tribe Administrator, the equivalent of Administrator Gelder's position with us. Jeff Riggins, one of the health officers, and he is in charge of the opioid treatment program facility that will be standing up next year, that occupies the old North Sound Bank, Frontier Bank, Olympic Property Group, Radiant Building. I think that's the entire history on Highway 305. And then we had Allison O'Sullivan, the longtime combination environmental and land use officer, the equivalent of Heather Wright and Diane Linnaeus combined with the tribe. From our side, myself, Britt Livdahl, Rick Eckert, Michael Fitzpatrick, Rob Gelder. We had Heather Wright, Diane Linnaeus, and Michael Bateman. We discussed the facility that is going to be built. It enjoys almost $20 million support alone from the state legislature. It's going to be a major medical facility on Highway 305, run by and for the tribe, for the larger community. And there'll be more on that in the coming days. We talked about the effort to reestablish North District Court in the North End, and we've made tremendous progress. We are reporting back to the county at every step of the way. We have letters of endorsement of the Port Gamble-Sklallam tribe, the Suquamish tribe, the Port of Kingston. This last week, the Bainbridge City Council officially authorized and issued a letter to the county commission, and of course the city of Poulsbo leading the effort. And I remain very high and optimistic that sometime in the 2027-2028 timeframe, what had been a long-standing part of our old city hall, the North District Court, will be reestablished in this building to serve Silverdale north to Hansville, from Bainbridge Island over to Lowfall, where many of our disadvantaged population do not have equal access, in my mind, to justice, to get down to Port Orchard for those orders, including domestic violence, sexual assault, that is all in Port Orchard. And I remain very hopeful. And so we discussed that with the tribe, who fully endorses this. We talked about the boardwalk, rehabilitation and repair. That is the facility that Councilwoman Livedall has sworn her life to saving, or she's going down hard, and we don't want to see that happen. And I imagine she'll be joined by her children in that effort over the next year or two or three. And so we discussed that. We talked about Bond and 305, not only the Oslo Bay project, that's 468 units being built across Bond Road from Big Valley Nursery, where the road punches out, closed right now on Highway 305. By the way, they were here this week from Detroit, visiting with staff. I met with them as well, and that project is really rolling along. That project represents the largest TOD, transit-oriented development on the peninsula west of Seattle, because it's in conjunction with the Kitsap Transit North Kitsap bus station. We moved on to parking. Can you imagine parking came up? There we are. And in their case, it has to do with shellfish access and shellfish harvesting, part of their usual and accustomed treaty rights, going back to 1854 that Doug Tabor read the land acknowledgement regarding. And we're going to be making special provision so that when they are here exercising their harvesting right between high and low tide, that there is parking provision for the tribe. We talked about